Shalom. I am Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. This Saturday night and Sunday, the holiday of Tisha B'Av falls. Tisha B'Av is, as we all know, the 9th day of Av, commemorating the destruction of the two holy temples in Jerusalem. Tisha B'Av is a day of thinking about destruction, but more important than thinking about the destruction that happened to our people is the concept that this is a day of hope. First of all, this year, Tisha B'Av is what they call nidcha. It's pushed off a day. The 9th of Av really is on Shabbat, tomorrow night, Friday night. But Tisha B'Av is not observed on Shabbat because there is no mourning on Shabbat. So it's nidcha, it's pushed off. One of the great Talmudic sages, Rabbi, said, as long as it's nidcha, if it's pushed off, let it be pushed off completely. The sages didn't agree with them, so that, unfortunately, unless Mashiach comes before we have to start this mourning day, we'll have to have Tisha B'Av again. I struggle to say the word Tisha B'Av because it's not in my mentality. My mentality is that we're not going to have a Tisha B'Av anymore. We're going to have a holiday. In time of Mashiach, Tisha B'Av will be the greatest moed. In fact, it's very interesting that some of the things we do or refrain from doing in our prayers in a holiday, we also refrain on Tisha B'Av. For example, we don't say Tachna, special prayers of confession on Tisha B'Av, because it's like a moed, it's like a holiday. It's hard to imagine a holiday, so let's talk about that. First of all, what caused the destruction of the temples? And what can we learn from our observance of this day? First of all, the first temple in Jerusalem was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar for 3 cardinal sins. A sin of murder, immorality, and idol worship. The second temple was destroyed almost 2,000 years ago. After it had been rebuilt, the second temple was destroyed by the Romans for the sin of hatred of somebody else without any reason for it. Baseless hatred. Sinas chinam, as it's called. It's an interesting contrast looking at the difference between the destruction of the first and the second Beis Hamikdash. All of the cardinal sins, idolatry, immorality, and murder, are spelled out and severely punished in the Torah. The sin of hatred of somebody else has no specific punishment. It just says you should love one another, you should not hate somebody in your heart. But yet we see that the baseless hatred was more than enough to cause the destruction of the temple. So the question that we're left with today is, what are we crying for? What are we mourning for? Are we mourning for this past of 2,000 years ago that is no longer with us? Or are we mourning with tears of hope for the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash? Are we mourning because we don't have the Beis Hamikdash today? The Gemara says excuse me, that somebody who does not rebuild the Beis Hamikdash in their days is if he destroyed it. How do we rebuild the Beis Hamikdash? We have to do the opposite of what caused its destruction. The opposite of baseless hatred. The opposite of hating somebody for no reason. We think we might have a reason for hating somebody, but the Torah tells us, the Pirkei Avos ethics, the Father says, don't judge another than till you come to his place, till you stand in his shoes. Oftentimes we're judging somebody, and yet if we had stood in that person's shoes, we wouldn't be judging him. That's baseless hatred. We make up a reason for it, and the reason has no foundation. So the remedy for baseless hatred is baseless love. Loving somebody without any reason. Loving somebody because they are the creatures created by God. God created a world where he wants love to prevail. Our tears that we shed on Tisha B'Av are not tears of despair. We haven't given up hope, yet our tears, the tears of a Jew, are tears of hope. As we saw when Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was put onto the Nile because the Egyptians were killing all the Jewish babies, and the princess of Egypt heard the cry and said, "This is a cry of a Jewish boy." Because that was a cry not of despair, but a cry of hope. Our cries and our tears on Tisha B'Av should be building blocks to rebuild the rebuilt Beis Hamikdash. The sages say that when we are coming to our final judgment, we are asked several questions. We're asked, did you spend time to study Torah? And we're asked, were you Mitzapim Lishua? Were you hoping for Mashiach? A person can believe in the coming of Mashiach, but yet he doesn't meet that criteria of Mitzapim Liyeshua, of really hoping for. When you really hope for something, you recognize that it could come at any moment. Not that you're saying, oh yeah, I believe sometime in the future we'll get to this place. No. Mitzapim Liyeshua means right now, living your life in a way that'll bring Mashiach now by completely doing away with what we have done in the past, by changing the world. Change can come about through every one of us individually. All we need to do is decide ourselves that the separation that was caused by the hatred of the Jewish people leading to the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash can be cured by one thing, by the unity of the Jewish people. God hates separation that is caused by fighting, and he loves unity. And the unity is what we have to strive for. Unity is what will once again bring us to building the Beis Hamikdash in our days. I heard it said by Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg of blessed memory that when we say he who doesn't build the Beis Hamikdash in his day as if he destroyed it, means that if the Beis Hamikdash were to be rebuilt right now, are our actions such that it would not be destroyed again? Are our actions such that we can show that we as a people are united and not divided? That's something we can work on Tisha B'Av. Let's mourn with cries of tears, cries of hope, if we have to mourn. Mourn for not what was, but what isn't right now. Mourn for our own actions. Indulge in our self-analysis to make ourselves and our world a better place. I Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. This Shabbat, even though it's the 9th of Av, we eat and we drink as if we're celebrating the festival that Tisha B'Av will ultimately become. I wish that, as Rabbi said, Tisha B'Av will in fact be gone forever. Until then, if we have to have it this year, let's do our soul searching for ourselves and become better people. Thank you. On behalf of the Webi Yeshiva, Shabbat Shalom.